I'll give it to the Phillies right there. They got a well-deserved win, a hard-fought win, but at some points in this ball game, not most, pretty nerve-wracking. Pretty nerve-wracking on a pitching standpoint. We had Aaron Nola on the mound today. He clearly did not have his stuff today, even counting into the factor that it was pouring in the middle of this ball game. But I'm not really going to blame much on the rain. Aaron Nola just from the get-go just clearly did not have the stuff. Gives up 3 home runs in this ball game. The pitch count was getting run up there a little bit early, and he was getting into a lot of full counts as well. And with the Dodgers lineup, how elite it is, they were working Aaron Nola. And given the fact that Aaron Nola had lights out, Aaron Nola just his past few starts, it's just you're not going to get that every single outing out of Aaron Nola, and you hope that your bullpen and your offense step up for you when you're not having your best outing. And that's what happened today. The bullpen came after Aaron Nola, only gave up 2 runs, and then the offense comes in, and then they get the runs scored when they have their chances. And that's what the Phillies did today. They win by a score of 7-6. They split the season series, not the season series. They split the series with the Dodgers 2 games apiece, and hopefully, hopefully, this is something to build off of because I don't want to get too overhyped with this because I got overhyped with the Tuesday win, and then Gabe Kapler puts out that terrible lineup yesterday, and you're not going to win ball games with that kind of lineup. So today we finally decided to go back with Michael Franco, Gene Segura, and JT Realmuto in the lineup. Even though we still have Jay Bruce injured, we'd use Adam Hazley in left field, which is better than nothing. I'd rather have him in the lineup than, say, Nick Williams, Roman Quinn. Because Adam Hazley, in my opinion, is better than those two. And he's only had a small sample size in the MLB. But off that, it's a better lineup than yesterday. And it clearly showed this ballgame because we actually scored some runs when we had the chances. And the Phillies do get on the board first in this ball game. Bryce Harper in the first inning gets a sacrifice fly that scores Scott Kingery and makes it a 1-0 Phillies lead. But then in the top of the second inning, the Dodgers hit back-to-back home runs by Beatty and Kike Hernandez to make it a 2-1 Dodgers lead. But then the Phillies and Adam Hazley respond right back in the bottom of the second inning. Adam Hazley hits his first career Major League home run, and it was an absolute shot too. It landed in the back stands, the back rows of the right center field bleachers, almost landed in the bullpen. So, a nice little moment there for Adam Hazley. Gets to keep the baseball, his first Major League home run, and just hopefully, with his small sample size in the MLB, hopefully this is something for him to build on, because he's going to be a key piece moving down the future with the Phils. He's one of their top prospects, and he's definitely going to be with the ball club probably the rest of the season, just with all the injuries that we're having. So hopefully this is something for him to build off of. But then we go into the bottom of the third inning, actually, and the Phillies do make it a 3-2 lead with JT Realmuto gets a sac fly, and it scores Bryce Harper. And it was interesting in this inning because this is when the rain really started to come down. It's a warm, humid day, really muggy, and the broadcast was talking all around that it could really rain at any moment, and really can't tell how long the rain is going to last, just because it's that kind of day. It's going to be off and on thunderstorms, and that's what happened today. You were hearing the thunder cracking throughout the game. The umpires weren't going to pull the tarp onto the field, just because it's a leave day. It's the last game of a series, and both teams are going. The Dodgers are going back home, so that's a long flight for them, and the Phillies are going to Pittsburgh after this game, so don't really want to call off a ball game or go into a long extended rain delay when both teams have to travel. So the Phillies make it a 3-2 lead in the bottom of the third inning, but then Kike Hernandez once again in the top of the fourth inning hits his second home run of the game, a 2-run shot, which makes it a 4-3 Dodgers lead. And then Kike Hernandez once again, he had himself a game today with 3 RBIs. No, actually 4 RBIs. So in the top of the sixth, he comes on with runners on base. He gets a single up the middle, which scores 1 run to make it a 5-3 Dodgers lead. But then we go to the bottom of the seventh inning, and this is where the Phillies break out the game. Adam Hazley gets on with a walk. Roman Quinn pinch hitting. He gets hit by a pitch. So it's Adam Hazley on second and Roman Quinn on first for Gene Segura. And then he gets a single up the middle, which scores Adam Hazley. And then we get Bryce Harper at bat. He gets a single up the middle, which turns into a double because Cody Bellinger bobbles the ball a little bit in center field. So Roman Quinn manages to score, and we get Bryce Harper on second base and third base with Gene Segura, with, I think, 1 out at this point for Rhys Hoskins. And Rhys Hoskins not having a really good game so far. He was over 3 at this point, just popping up the ball a little bit too much. So he was at an 0-2 count at this point. And basically with an 0-2 count, you got to protect the zone. So Rhys Hoskins just threw his bat out there, hit the bat on ball, gets the ball down the right field line, and it scores Bryce Harper and Gene Segura to make it a 7-3 Phillies lead. And no, that's 7-3, 7-5. I don't know what I'm saying right there, but the Phillies took a 7-5 lead. That's what you know right now. So the bullpen comes in after the seventh inning. Well, they were in this from the start of the sixth inning on, but Adam Morgan comes in the eighth. He shuts down the door in the eighth. Doesn't really get into a few problems there. And then we bring in Hector Neris for the ninth inning. Even though he is suspended from the MLB, he's appealing that right now, so he is still eligible to pitch on the roster. So he comes in the ninth inning, hopefully to get redemption from blowing the save on Tuesday. And he does get the first two outs, but then he allows a solo home run to Verdugo to make it a 7-6 Dodgers lead. But then he does get Justin Turner to fly out to center field, and the Phillies win this ball game. Thankfully. Just thankfully. Because we just can't. We just need to find something to spark this ball club. Just something. Just something to spark this ball club. Because Tuesday's win should have sparked something. And hopefully today's win will spark something. But not going to overhype anything because it's the Philadelphia Phillies. And when you overhype them, they tend to let you down. So, just going to take it day by day right now. Just looking into the Pirates series. Nothing to overlook because they have players like Josh Bell, who is near an MVP candidacy because he's hitting balls out of the ballpark left and right, and it's one of his best seasons of his career. So the Pirates are not one team to overlook. So it's going to be a pretty important series going against Pittsburgh. And with this win today, the Phillies do get their 50th win on the season. They are currently 50-47. I think before this ball game, they were a half game out of the second wildcard spot, so they might be in that wildcard spot right now. I'm not too sure. So even though it's been pretty interesting ride with the National League this season because many teams are underachieving in the National League except for teams like the Dodgers and the Braves. Teams like Milwaukee, Chicago, St. Louis even. A lot of teams are underachieving. The Colorado Rockies are underachieving. So it's pretty a tight race for the wild card. There's a lot of teams that are in that wild card race at least. I think the broadcast said today the only team that's really not in the chase for the wild card is the Marlins. Majority of teams that are behind in the wild card for the National League are at least 5-6 games back. So it's a really, really tight race at this point, and a lot of teams really underachieving. And that just shows the Dodgers are the best team in the National League, and they're just running away with it because that's how good they are. And it showcased in this series, and just thank God we managed to split the series at 2 games apiece. And yeah, the broadcast was also talking about just how talented this Phillies roster actually is. It's just that the pitching hasn't been there, and that was the main issue going into the season. And the offense for how many All-Stars that it has on the roster, because we have 4 All-Stars with Andrew McCutchen, Gene Segura, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto. The big injury to Andrew McCutchen really is probably still stinging because of what he brought to the leadoff spot in that lineup. Yeah, Scott Kingery is a nice addition to that leadoff spot. He's been one of our more consistent hitters, but what Andrew McCutchen brought to the lineup, it's just you cannot replace that. And that's what the broadcast was a common theme they brought up. And the same thing with this offense, it's been way too inconsistent. And just when they were talking back and forth with the Dodgers and the Phillies, it's just a tale of two teams. One team is the best team in the National League. They're hitting on all sides of the lineup. Everyone in the lineup can hit timely hits, and everyone's hitting for power. And then you have the Phillies lineup, with how talented it is, they can't get everything going at the same time. And that's been the common theme with the Phillies. They can't get everything going at the same time. And I don't know if that comes to we're not talented enough or we're just really underachieving. And I don't know how to judge that. So, off that topic, today's game was actually broadcasted on YouTube TV, which was, even though from last season they had it on Facebook Watch a lot, last season when they were trying to promote games to watch on Facebook. Now they're promoting games to watch on YouTube. This was the first game, I think, this season to be broadcasted on YouTube. I'm not quite sure about that, but I think it was. And they were saying they have 12 more, 11 more broadcasts left on YouTube for the rest of the season. And the Phillies do have another game on YouTube. I think that's in August when we play the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco. And that's a night game, so be prepared to watch a game against the Giants at 10 o'clock at night on YouTube. That's kind of weird. It was just before this ball game, I almost forgot. I thought it was a 1 o'clock game, but I forgot it was 12:30. And I was flipping through the Xfinity guide to see where this game was. It wasn't on NBC Sports Philadelphia. It wasn't on NBC. It wasn't on TBS. So I was like, where is this game on? I go on the MLB app, and it's on YouTube. I was like, never heard of this. The broadcast yesterday didn't say they were going to be on YouTube. probably slipped my mind. So, and the broadcast today, they had Scott Braun from MLB Network, and the same thing that they did last year. They bring over guys from each respective team's broadcast. So we had Ben Davis from the Phillies, and we had one guy from the Dodgers broadcast team. So it was a pretty well-rounded broadcast, but in my opinion, it's kind of boring. Scott Braun really isn't energetic when making calls, especially on the Adam Hazley home run. It was a pretty boring call. And just, I like Ben Davis. I like the stats that he brings up. I like the way he talks on the broadcast booth, but it just seems like he has better chemistry when talking with guys like Tom McCarthy and John Kruk. He just didn't sound like he had chemistry with these guys at all. And it's just, I don't know. It just didn't sound good to me. It didn't. So, off that topic, so what are your guys' thoughts on this ball game? Just what are your guys' thoughts on what the Phillies can do to build off this win? Do you think they can build off it and go on something nice against the Pirates? Or do you think the Phillies are just going to make us disappointed once again? So, don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I will see you in the next video.